Here's a few news articles that look pretty interesting. Um, this is the latest NFT thing I've seen, and CryptoKitties actually made a little bit of sense. You had these collectible kitties that were unique, and you could breed them and stuff. And now they've made crypto dragons, which is the same kind of thing. There's a bunch of different species. They breed, they fight. Some win, some lose. Some are therefore more valuable than others. And they're going to make sort of a game about this. It seems like this all should have been a game all along. So owning these objects gives you a player in the game, and the game is played on the blockchain. And when you win the game, your player becomes more valuable, like a football player. This begins to make a little bit of sense to me. No, the new Neopets. I only vaguely remember what Neopets were. Neopets were little hardware devices, right? That would pretend to be a pet, or they might have been software devices where you feed them and stuff. I don't think they're going to have that kind of simulation, but it's not very clear what they're going to do. But at least there's something to do with it. Most of the NFTs don't make any sense at all, and they're admitting that openly now, that since you can just right-click and save the image, you don't even own the image, so what's going on? But this way, you'd own something which you can use in a game, and if somebody just makes a screenshot of it, they can't play the game, so at least it makes some sense to have paid something. I think it's beginning to turn into some kind of a web sport, which might make a little bit of sense. Web service game, yeah, I vaguely remember these things. Yeah, there was a pet, and you would feed it, and you had to take care of it or die or something. Yeah, but this would be competitive and also gambling for big money too, because it would be an NFT. So it would be kind of a lot like fantasy football, where you bet big money, and then you make a team, and then if your team wins, you win money. So it might be a reasonably successful form of entertainment, and at least you're getting something for your money, as opposed to most NFTs, which just seem to be just taking advantage of people that don't understand how they work. So India has their own vaccine, which I didn't know about, and it's now approved by the World Health Organization. So it is, I don't know where the name of it, Covaxin, that's their vaccine. India makes most of the vaccines anyway. And so now they're making their own vaccine, which is really good because they're not getting enough from us. No, I don't know anything about football. Nothing whatever. But I'll know a little bit about how that there is gambling in it, and people take it seriously. And all right, so this is a claim. I don't know if there's any actual basis that hackers are doing this, but the U.S. government is certainly doing this in Utah. They're archiving tons of encrypted data that they can't crack, hoping that someday they'll be able to crack it. Now, I think the original idea was someday they might be able to seize a computer from a criminal organization and find a private key on it or something. I don't think they were planning that they would get quantum computers to crack it, but that's another possibility, of course, is that in the future the encryption schemes will be crackable, and that's the point. This is why people plan like at least 30 years out for encryption. If you're encrypting something and you try to make it encrypted with strong enough encryption so that even whatever you expect in like 30 years will not be able to crack it, because somebody could just copy it and wait. And then the question is, would that data still be valuable in 30 years? And I would say if it's a credit card number, probably not. It would have expired. But if it's a social security number or medical data, it probably would still be valuable in 30 years, and therefore you don't want to leak it. So anyway, they're talking about this. Everybody expects quantum computers to come online in 20 or 30 years. And that they seem to be going right there in that area. This is very interesting. The United States government has defined security standards long ago, and they've been applying security audits for years, and typically it's always the same thing. They scan the U.S. military systems and they say they are 98% out of compliance with our security standards, and they don't have the resources to fix it. So now, I wonder what this means. The Biden administration has now ordered them to actually fix the cyber flaws, which would be a dramatic step forward in cybersecurity, because up till now they've just sort of measured that they don't, and so they made a list of specific flaws that need to get fixed. And I found the link before. Maybe I can't find it now. But there's a specific list of links, and what they are is what you'd expect them to be. They are like the high-value vulnerabilities that have been found. Here we are. Here's the hundreds of vulnerabilities that you must fix if you have these. And, well, all right, I'm not getting the link. But anyway, I found a link at some point and had a list of them, and it was just the usual high-value CVEs. Part of military fund, and they will have unlimited budget. Well, yeah, I do not know. Nothing's ever unlimited. But anyway, it's it's an interesting issue, and it may well improve our security. You replace everything running XP. That would be the first step, of course. I'm sure that would be necessary, among other things. All right, and so anyway, here's a lot of people still believe in ivermectin, which is really a shame because there are a bunch of therapeutics that actually work that we know of now, like a mood-altering drug, anti-depression drug has been found to prevent the worst parts of COVID-19, but unfortunately the people that refuse to take ivermectin don't pay attention to news. They're right-wingers. They don't care about normal news or medicine. They don't believe any of that. They only believe fake stuff. But maybe that will eventually change. Anyway, there was a study that there's always quoted for ivermectin. The same thing happened, by the way, with vaccines causing autism. One crooked doctor made a completely faked study, published it, then he was completely exposed and it was retracted decades ago, but everybody keeps referring to that study as proof that vaccines cause autism. And in the same respect, this is actually kind of interesting. It reminds me of vulnerability disclosure, which I've done a lot of, because it's not just that the study was flawed. The study was absolutely faked. When he had what they used, when they supposed to have evidence of the subjects, all they did was take 12 rows of data and just paste it over and over to make it look like they had hundreds of patients. It was incredibly clumsily forged. They didn't do any proper research at all. They absolutely forged it, and now their official, and they claimed ivermectin works. That's why everyone takes ivermectin, because of this study, apparently, and ones like it that are just totally faked. And now Journal retracts the article, and now they have not admitted that they totally faked it. They just said, oh, we made an error and used the wrong file. They've totally covered up what really happened. Anyway, and I heard about the JFK Jr., a bunch of QAnon people going to Texas expecting him to rise from the dead. Well, that's not unexpected for like a religion. Like the Jehovah's Witnesses predict the end of the world every year or two, and they all expect it to happen. It's just that the political parties used to be something other than just a conspiracy theory religion, and the Republican Party really is not anything but that anymore. And due to the incredible failure of the Democrats to accomplish anything, the Republicans are charging ahead from the election yesterday. It looks like Republicans are totally going to take over again. And I do not think they will leave office willingly. They will just claim to stay whether they win or lose elections. I think we will be able to tell future generations what we observed during the end of American democracy. I think we're living right through it. Anyway, so Facebook changed the name to Meta and defined the Metaverse, and now Microsoft is competing with the same thing. So instead of having Zoom calls, you will have some kind of avatars like this, and you will meet like this. I don't understand why these big companies are jumping on this. This is garbage, I think. We've already been through this with Second Life. This has been around for 30 years. And it gives people motion sickness. It doesn't give you the real sensation of talking to real humans. I'm extremely doubtful that there's any actual value here, but these big companies are jumping in it and competing on it. Microsoft Teams is going to give you a Metaverse immersive meeting, so we'll see what comes of that. The thing about Microsoft is usually your boss forces you to use this stuff whether it's junk or not. Facebook can only get people to use it if it's actually fun, so that might be... we'll see if anything happens, but I think everybody expects this to be a huge flop, everybody in the industry that I've seen. Requiring employees to show up in person would be a benefit. Yes, I think that's right. Actually showing up in person and interacting with humans might build relationships and do some good. And I think most people don't expect 100% remote work to be very common. They expect part remote and part on site. But yeah, that's right. And I think that's where it's going to go. A few days at home and a few days in the office for most people. But none of that's going to happen until the pandemic stops. And it looks like that is totally not going to happen. Now there's 2 strains of Delta Plus coming in the United States. And we all expect another surge in the winter. And I don't see coronavirus going away for a long time yet. I think we're going to continue to be all remote for a good long time. And large face-to-face gatherings are going to be somewhere out in the future. And things like opening our college will be somewhere out in the future. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. So we've been talking about rootkits in the malware analysis class, and the old-fashioned kind of rootkit using SSDT hooking cannot be done anymore in modern versions of Windows, but there are some rootkits. although I must say I don't really understand how they do it anymore. It's gotten more difficult. But apparently a lot of people say it's expensive to develop a rootkit, so you can just rent one. For a couple $100 a month, you can rent a rootkit from somebody on the underground. And that's how people are doing it now. They're also using userland rootkits, which are a lot easier to make. Anyway, I think that's enough for the news. Let me stop this one.